Well, as we get the show started, it's like getting ready to leave. He's going to a baseball game. I love you, buddy. Bye-bye. Have a good time. All right.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Absolutely. Hey, put up that wrist, man. Put up that wrist. Perfect. But hey, it's a heck of a way to start, but that's how we start this edition of the Voice of the Land on the Inside Edge Network. Of course, partnered with LPV Productions still. And as I'm noticing our logo, I think we got I just noticed the little font underneath the whole.
Oops. We'll get that
We've
fixed.
been doing this for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and I'm just now noticing that. Oh well, they're good people over there at I'll say it, Big Play. They're good people over there too. There's a lot of good people in this industry. I'm not one, I know there's a lot of competition. It's sports, it's competition all the time, but there's so many good people out there and they're doing good stuff. So, support everybody that's trying to help push the Cleveland sports talk narrative out there. But again, Voice of the Land, Inside Edge, LPV Productions, brought to you by the great people, Greeny Sports Cards, greenysportscards.com. greenysportscards.com. Find out where they're going to be, what type of shows they're doing. They're live every single week, 7 p.m. on their social media channels, doing eBay bids. They have guests on. They're talking through what the card collecting industry is like nowadays. So they're the best. They're the best people to look at. Steve, Jeremy, their entire team always do a great job, and can't thank them enough for continuing to support what we're doing here with the Voice of the Land. And Rye, we have a new partner. I'm Kevin. He's Ryan Mosser. By the way, if you didn't know our names, or that's always a good way for the host to actually drop in the names. But we do have a new partner. Yeah. And I know we'll get a little more information on them later, but this is kind of cool. Keon Sports, keonsports.com, Keon Sports on the YouTube. Vince McKee, who I don't think it's a wrong thing to bring this up, but he started with the late great Matt Lodi, who did NEO Sports Insiders, and Vince worked with him for a long time as they set that website up. Really, what it was to spotlight sports around here and cover the guards, cover Cavs and Brown stuff and all that type of stuff. But really, the biggest part was always the high school football coverage and the high school athletic coverage. And Vince kind of he started his own thing and continue to grow upon what he learned from Matt Lodi. I know NEO Sports Insiders still exist. They still do a great job over there, but Vince has kind of built being able to live stream high school football games. And, they also write up games, and it's not even just games in Northeast Ohio. Like, they have people covering high school football around this, around the state. And I think I've seen even like games go outside of the state lines, right? And because high school football is a big thing. But high school athletics is also a big thing. They just had the state tournament for track and field. So many great athletes there. I mean, look, Jameer Brown, who's a number one wide receiver recruit, committed to Ohio State. I mean, he's, but they're also running track. And
three-time state champ, baby.
Yeah, 3-time state champ.
This year, crazy.
And I know he transferred from Huber Heights to, where is he going now?
Is it Wayne? Am I crazy?
Well, Huber Heights Wayne is where he was.
Okay, yeah, then I don't know. Yeah, I haven't.
I feel like he transferred. It was either him or his teammate. Like, they're the two good wide receivers that were down there in Huber Heights. Like, they're no longer together. I don't know if it was him that transferred or his buddy, but I know that there was because I saw they were competing against each other in some of those sprint races.
He's Big Walnut right now, brother.
Big Walnut.
Yep.
So going from Huber Heights, Big Walnut. So we'll see what he does this year in high school football. That's going to be a story to watch. But again, they're covering all of that, and Vince has done a great job with that. He's got a great team over there, and you want to make sure you follow them. Again, we'll have a commercial for them later that'll be more succinct and put the information in a much faster way. But I just want to thank Vince for coming on to the Inside Edge, and we'll push his stuff and his team stuff as much as possible, because what he does and It's really what he learned from Matt Lody and what he's taken himself. He's 15-time author. He's got 15 books out there as well. So this is a guy that knows his stuff. And, him and I know just in the back of our heads, we're always honoring Matt Lody because I met both of those guys. And just a quick story. I know this is kind of drawing it on a little bit, Rye, but
you're good, bro.
This is why it's so important to me and why it was so cool to see AA Anthony Alford's email about this. And so Matt Lody was running the sports emphasis program at Ohio Media School, which I did. And Vince, working with him, we ended up, I went there so I was there in 2018, and that was, of course, the Baker Mayfield draft. And so we ended up getting, I don't know why I can't remember the name. It was an Italian restaurant in Homestead Falls or North Homestead, somewhere around there. And we were in their back party room doing a live draft show. I know the people out in the dining room were like, this is like a fancy place. Like, what are these guys doing? Why are they yelling and stuff? And, we had myself, we had Mac Robinson, who's at 92.3. He had his own big book and he printed out Dane Brugler's Beast, and he had binders full of everybody's draft prospects and all this stuff. And so they were working together on that kind of stuff. And unfortunately we did lose Matt Lody to cancer, and we continue to wish everyone that knew him, all of his loved ones, all of his family, continued prayers and everything. But we try to honor what Lody taught all of us and what we do. And it's so good to see what the success that Vince has had. So thank you to Vince McKee and Key on Sports. Make sure to follow them, especially as we turn the corner, very soon. High school football, we'll be looking more at recruits again, and I know you'll be looking at them, right? We'll be, talking about all that stuff coming up soon. And, I'll be doing the
ended, man, geez.
I know.
About to start back up here soon.
I'll be doing the high school football coverage. I think, fingers crossed. I think I'm still on that at the radio station. So, we're looking forward to doing a lot of that stuff. And my goal this year, Ryan, I want you to hold me to this. This is why I'm saying this publicly, and I'm saying this to you directly.
Okay.
When I do all that stuff this fall, and hopefully with Dale Davison again, I want to make sure that not only is the high school football and the scores that we're giving out, the main focus, of course, and we're doing all that, but I implement as much other, focus on stories from other sports during the fall from Northeast Ohio, because there's a lot of great soccer action. Cross country is, that I've ran one cross country race in my life.
Why would you do something like that?
I'm
kidding. Put yourself through that. A little masochistic.
I did it for my track coach, who was also the cross country coach at the time. And in order to keep our division standing, he needed enough guys to actually run the race. So he asked some of the soccer players to run at the conference meet when he knew that we didn't have any training or anything like that. And I'm just running, I'm smiling. I got he's extra coaches along the track. I think it's a 5K or something like that in high school. And they're saying hey, you got to pick it up. There's this person there. I'm just smiling and waving. I'm the penguins from Madagascar, man. Yeah. I'm just running, smiling away, boys. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here to make sure that our, you guys have a program. So I want to help. So we should really gone off the rails here to start this show. This is what happens when your son barges in. But so I want to make sure, and I want you to hold me to this, Rye. Focus on some of the other great stories from the other sports, because there's great student athletes all across the board. I've taken up way too much time to start the show, and I am so sorry, Ryan, that I have not brought you in too much just yet, but we will, because I feel like I've been avoiding trying to talk about this, and this is why I've been droning on. Brendan Sorsby. The Sorsby story that won't go away. And now he has, I guess, declined to allow the injunction to play in college football and wants to enter the NFL supplemental draft. It will be the one prospect that people will be looking for. July 10th will be his pro day. I got a lot of fears right now, Ryan.
Yeah.
I know all 32 teams are going to be there. I know that people are going to put bids in. I'm sure the Browns will as well. I don't want to win this bid. I don't want to win this lottery. I don't want to win this at all. I don't. I don't want this. I don't know how you feel. I know that people talk about until you got the guy, you got to keep going, trying to get the guy. Nathan Zagura, the color commentator for the Browns Radio Network, always says that and continues to say that even around this Brendan Sorsby situation. I just take this as a whole separate thing. I just don't think that this is a piece that they need to bring into Berea.
Yeah, I don't know. Last week 2 weeks ago, I talked about before all this debacle is just him going to the supplemental draft initially. He wasn't going to go to college football. I was like, yeah, I'll take a flyer on this guy, whatever. Then last week we talked about it and it rubbed me the wrong way that he was, some judges, made a ruling and all of a sudden now he's going to, face a 2-game suspension and, play college football. I mean, everyone got pissed off about that. Excuse my language. But nonetheless, nonetheless we're here. And, I can't help but think of where the franchise stands right now. Deshaun Watson is not the long-term answer unless something absolutely miraculous happens. I personally don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be the franchise plan either. He's a developmental swing with hope at best. And, we'll see what happens, And everything the Browns have done this offseason points towards one thing is that they're preparing, to draft a quarterback in 2027. Everyone sees it, obviously. Trading Myles Garrett was the what fork in the I don't know some metaphor. I'm not gonna say right. I don't know. I mean, it's anybody can see it, is what I'm saying. Then there's Andrew Berry. Berry is always convinced that he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He loves the value move. He loves the market inefficiency. He loves being the GM who says, we saw something nobody else did, quote unquote. So I absolutely do see him taking himself into the Brandon Sorsby sweepstakes. The case for making a claim, I think, if I strip away the chaos and just look at the player for a second, the lawsuits, the judges, the burner accounts, gambling addictions, the NCAA circus, and I look strictly at just the football evaluation. He's talented. He's a talented quarterback. NFL evaluators have said that he would have been the QB3 in this year's draft. Those who are not who are new to watching us from the Kiosk Sports will learn this for the first time. But actually, I've actually put together an algorithm, and I broke down pretty much every single prospect in this 2026 draft to do a live draft special, and I added Sorsby into that, and he was my QB1. He was my 24th player on the board, and he was my QB1 by far. And that's just based off of NFL projection, based off of the talent that I see that translates to the NFL, not necessarily hype or anything like that. So, it's pretty interesting, but he's got the size, he's got the mobility, he's got the arm talent. He pushes the ball downfield. He avoids sacks. He creates explosive plays, and he has real NFL traits. And he's a legitimate big dual threat quarterback. If you're a GM who believes that you can, fix him, then you're definitely tempted. And I think Andrew Berry is exactly the kind of GM who believes that he can, fix anybody. The case against making this claim is this is where I land. I don't want him anywhere near this Browns locker room. Not because of the talent, not because of the potential, not because of the supplemental draft cost, but because of the precedent, because of the message that it sends, and because of the trust issues that it creates within the fan base, within the locker room, and within his own teammates. I think Todd Monken said it best when, once you bring a guy like that into your building, you're going to be playing with fire. You can't build, a culture around a quarterback who bets against his own team. You can't ask veterans to buy in behind someone who was literally wagering on outcomes he was involved in. And you can't ask young players to trust a guy who turned, college football into his personal betting slip. And this is the franchise of all this. He doesn't need a quarterback controversy. They need stability. They need leadership. They need someone in the locker room who can, they can rally behind, not someone they have to monitor again. The part that makes me nervous, sorry, Kevin, I'm going on here, but like I said, I could see Andrew Berry doing this. A chance to get the quarterback who might have been a top 5 pick in 2027 without, using a first rounder. That's right down the dude's wheelhouse. A chance to grab a high upside talent at a discount. And also just look like the smartest guy in the league. That's Andrew Berry's entire personality. If he makes a claim, I can live with it only if it's a 3rd round pick or past that. But I have a bad feeling, Kevin, that he is going to use the Browns 2027 2nd-round pick on Brendan Sorsby. I understand what Mary Kay said, that she's she doesn't see it and this and that. Man, I'm following the patterns. I'm looking at the breadcrumbs and seeing the pass that Andrew Berry has had. This dude's going to get Brendan Sorsby if he likes him, and the carrot hanging in front of your face that at a discount you might be able to get a top 5 talent is going to be incredibly enticing to this guy in our front office. So, I mean, that's what I personally think. I don't think, the supplemental draft isn't, a why not move. You're giving up your pick for next year, which is for like we have multiple 2nd-round picks, or some teams do, or multiple picks. It has to be your pick too for the 2027 draft. So wherever you land, say your top 5 pick, oh well, you just lost 32 to 35 pick overall in a coveted 2027 draft. If Barry burns a 2nd rounder on Sorsby and it blows up, then that's the kind of move that gets GMs fired. Right? You're sacrificing flexibility in a quarterback class that the Browns might desperately need for a hope and a want again. And I'm not doing that again to this franchise. Sorry.
Where, if you do get him in here in Cleveland, like, who goes? How many of those quarterbacks go in that
Gabriel's
room?
gone for sure. I mean, but I wouldn't hold it past Andrew Berry to hold on. I mean, he's always talked about quarterbacks are currency. So he's going to hold on to these guys until there's an injury, until there's a need, and he's going to flip them for a late round pick because that's what he does, So, I mean, this is just a chance to, possibly get the franchise quarterback. And what sucks is we don't know if we have one right now. So this is just another an unconventional way of getting something that, we normally haven't had the opportunity to, like Deshaun Watson, or this, throw money at it or throw a pick and hope for the best, figure it out. I'm just tired of figuring out, man. I don't know.
So when I heard, Nathan Zagura say so many different outlets that he's joined, and when he's doing the Browns Daily Show every single day, when I initially heard him say, I think it was last year, because he was big on Shador at number 2, so like not this past draft, but the draft before.
Sure.
And said, like, you gotta take swings until you get there. You gotta continue to, throw darts out there. And I agreed with that. But now this is a totally different circumstance. I cannot get behind this. I am not behind Deshaun Watson being in a Browns uniform. I understand why he still is. So I don't need people telling me, like, oh, it's the contract and all that. You got to see what you have. I get all that. I don't want it. I don't want them playing for my team. I don't want us. And honestly, I don't even care about getting rid of, like a piece of a draft capital or whatever. And I know that how loaded next year is. You do give up a 2nd round. That's 1st round talent that's going to fall out. And there's probably going to be more of that next year than there is, we've seen as of late. Like some of that 1st round level talent or guys that may have been talked about being in that 1st round, maybe into even couple of the spots in the 40s, just based on how well these quarterbacks play. And again, the college football season is going to determine that. But this is like, I get that everybody deserves a 2nd chance. When I got nervous about this, when I started getting nervous, Rye, was when he was asked, it wasn't at the golf outing, it was the press conference the day after Myles Garrett got traded and everything was official, so he could actually say something. He didn't say anything at the golf outing, but Todd Monken did. And look, I get that there's a game to play, and everybody says, oh, well, like, you got to make sure that people are, especially with the supplemental draft, like the way that works, you got to keep people off the scent even more. Like, you got to make people think that you're not interested. Number one, you don't really have to do that if you're the Browns, because everybody knows the Browns are looking for a quarterback. So, like, if there's ever a quarterback available, there's the Browns are at least going to be around it and rumored around it, and you're not going to be able to detach the Browns name from it because Andrew Berry's never going to say yes or no until something actually happens. But it was the day after when he was asked about it, and even on I know I saw some clips of him joining other programs and saying, I believe people deserve a second chance. You got to do your you got to do your work on them, and like I don't know. Andrew Berry gives us information when we don't even realize it because we just see him as a word salad person, as someone that says a lot without saying anything. I mean, actually, he says some things that, like, when we look back on it, hindsight being 2020, like we need to start having foresight, looking forward and reading what he says. Like that's what's got me really nervous is him, not coming anywhere close to even like addressing Todd Monken's comments. And if Todd Monken was trying to play the game, because they had talked about it and did come across his desk and all those types of things, and he said those things with a guy that we know, as we've been told, doesn't BS you or and anything like that. I mean, that's credibility in the locker, like that level of credibility in the locker room then like drops. Like, oh, like you are willing to lie and like not tell us, like be this forthright person that we know you to be. Like we are doing this. Like,
are you talking about Barry lying or Monken there? Sorry.
Like Monken.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying that he is.
Sure.
What I'm saying is Andrew Berry makes this pick and it is going to be on Andrew Berry. Like those comments from Todd Monken, like either he was telling the truth and like this whole, like he's only got a year to prove himself type thing, that pressure mounts, or he was playing the game and he was in on it the whole time. And like, now you're losing credibility of the type of person that we thought we were getting, which was the exact 180 of Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't know if the guy's lying, but he came off as genuine. Obviously, he's gonna speak his mind, and something is relatively controversial, and your team could be making that pick. I don't think necessarily Andrew Berry would be feeding him that. I mean, if one thing's for sure, we know that Andrew Berry is a liar. I mean, whether it's to his advantage or to, it doesn't matter. Andrew Berry is a liar. No matter what he says, you cannot believe him. Myles Garrett from Cleveland to Canton, he's going to be a Brown. No matter what Andrew Berry says, you cannot believe him. I'm sorry. So I'm going to take Monken's word for it because Monken he's outspoken. He talks about, how it feels regardless about comfortability or, or PC-ness, I don't know the word, but nonetheless, like he's going to speak his mind. So yeah, I mean, if anything, I would consider Andrew Berry the one to be, the liar in this sense. I don't consider Monken really being the
right.
So,
and I guess like to clarify a little bit, like I don't think that Monken is lying. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I don't think he's lying, and then the Browns still do this, you're undercutting a coach that like doesn't, like, already people don't think has much opportunity unless he has like the most surprising season of all time. Like he only has 1 year to really prove anything, and it's like a year by year basis right now, like, which is one of the hardest ways to go about it, especially for your first ever head coaching job at 60. This is what I said from the beginning. I don't want that guy being undermined. I don't want his chances to have success as a head coach already hampered because you're doing things that, like, you're doing things opposite of what this guy like wants.
Sure, but so to play devil,
look on like Todd Monken is, how happy is he going to be if Andrew Berry does this, despite the fact that he truly feels like this is not a situation. I'm not saying Brendan Sorsby should not be drafted in the supplemental draft, shouldn't get a chance in the NFL and prove that he's done, that he should get the second chance, and that a second chance will be good for him and all those types of things. The Cleveland Browns specifically are not the situation for that. That is not the environment. That is not the place that he should be. We've done this enough, taking chances on guys. I get it. Devin Bush had success, and Kareem Hunt, he gave him a second chance and all that type of stuff. And some of these guys had success. You're trying to build a winning culture. I'm kind of done taking chances on questionable character.
I hear you. And to play a little, negative advocate here, like respectfully, it's Andrew Berry's job to make this team better. It's Todd Monken's job to take whatever team Andrew Berry gives him and work with it. And that's the unfortunate realization. I mean, if Andrew Berry does this, too bad, Todd Monken. Deal with it. He's on your team now. He's part of your. He's in the culture. You got to figure it out, regardless of what you said. I mean, I feel like at least trying to think like Andrew Berry thinks, like you have to be able to separate the two, regardless. If he believes that Sorsby makes this team better, he is going to get him in the supplemental draft, or at least bid for him. I think he's going to go after him, though. I like I said, I think the Browns' second-round pick in 2027 is up for grabs. And I'd be surprised if he didn't use it. But that's just personal speculation, and like I said, what I've seen. But I'm sorry, yeah, Todd Monken, the odds are against him. I think that giving this guy, one and done if it doesn't go well is a mistake. I actually really like Todd Monken. I really want to see, I want to see him get 2, 3, 4 years and see what he can do, because I really like his mind. I've liked his offenses, and I think he deserves a shot, a real fair shot. And because the Browns have showed you what they're trying to do, they're obviously punting on this season, going into next year's draft, hoping that they can, find that quarterback. But if they can get Sorsby and he works out, or you believe he might be the guy, then they have other options and go after Jeremiah Smith or some other big names and possibly get this team going even sooner than expected. And like I said, I hate being a Browns fan, but I love it. So it's exhausting.
If they do this,
they're gonna do it.
It goes back to whoever said it when he was on the Steelers. I know he went to Kansas City as well. The Browns is the Browns.
Yep.
I'm sick and tired of us living up to that moniker instead of getting that moniker away. Just like Kenny Atkinson is not going to live down the analytic comment. And Jared Allen's never going to live down until they, if they were to actually win a championship with him on the team, he'll never live down the lights are too bright comment. The Browns is the Browns will never be taken away from this team and this organization. That sum up of the joke and the comments that get made nationally and all that type of stuff about this organization, that will never fade away until you actually prove that you can win on a consistent basis and are serious about that. The drafts have told us you are serious about it. You do this in the supplemental draft, right back to you're not serious at all.
The awful thing is I like the player on the field. Like I said, he would have been my top quarterback in this draft based on my algorithm and my scouting. And that's what sucks. He's got the size, he's got the arm strength, he's got the mobility that is coveted in the NFL, especially if you can, have a little bit of durability with your frame compared to the guys like Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson. You're more of a Josh Allen, Daniel Jones type runner in the NFL. Like this guy, he's comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think, it's just a little bit between the ears. Obviously, I mean, you can see it's between the ears by his gambling addiction, but nonetheless, I like him a lot, dude. I do, but I'll giving all that. I don't want the headache that comes with it. I don't. So I'm out, but I feel like what sucks as a Browns fan is if this happens, he comes to the Browns. I mean, I'm gonna get suckered in because I like the player. I just will always have the little, devil on my shoulder or, guy in the back of my head saying, is this real? Is he going to screw it all up? Are we going to have another Emmanuel Classe situation in Cleveland? So we got to get some action here, brother.
Love it or hate it. I am someone who's being uncomfortable as a fan when you put me in these situations for more off the field than on the field type stuff. When I can't necessarily look at the on the field and break all that down, and I have to look off the field, and it's all uncomfortable. He might be uncomfortable. He might be comfortable being uncomfortable, Brendan Sorsby. I'm uncomfortable being uncomfortable.
So like
right now, I'm uncomfortable with the Guardians' injuries. We will talk about that coming up next. But first, of course, we have great partners of Inside the Edge Network, and we got to listen and hear from them here in just a couple seconds.
Discover our collection of handcrafted candles. That's right, every product is thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Our candles are hand-poured in coconut soy wax with natural wood wicks, offering a long-lasting burn and rich fragrances. Create a cozy, safe ambiance for your home with candles from Alley Rose Fragrances. First-time customers use the promo code InsideEdge20 to receive 20% off your order. AlleyRoseFragrances.com, proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Podcast Network. Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and to the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of official sports apparel and sports jerseys from all leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans of football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, golf, and, well, everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on your screen right now to celebrate your teams. That's Fanatics.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader. Clean energy, bold flavors, and no jitters. See why people won't shut up about Dubby. Clean energy, no jitters or crash. Whether you're starting your workday or getting ready to exercise, Dubby Energy helps you lock in and focus. With over 15 flavors to choose from, you can't miss. Order Dubby Energy right now by using the QR code on your screen and use the promo code InsideEdge10 to receive 10% off your order. Dubby Energy, your energy-focused sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
And welcome back inside the voice of the land.
Sorry, I want to try that.
Canada up 2-0 right now over Qatar in the World Cup. We will talk about a little World Cup. We'll do a little whip around kind of storylines, news that we wanted to touch on. We'll finish with that in the last segment. We still have a couple more partners to hear from. We will hear from them in a little while. We were just, of course, breaking down Brendan Sorsby. I know that, again, it's a hot topic. We're going to be talking about it probably week in and week out until we get to this. Once we get to the pro day and then, the supplemental draft, we'll see who ends up taking the chance. If it's the Browns, if it's not, I will do many metaphorical cartwheels if the Browns are not the team, even if they put a bid in for him, are not the team that gets Brendan Sorsby. But there is some soreness going around the Cleveland Guardians right now and more as, boy, oh boy, this past Saturday, the top three guys in the batting order against the Tigers. Again, continue to have success against the Tigers. You win the first two, weather, all of that. I'm sorry to people that may have been at that game and trying to get in, and the notice came down late. I will say that sometimes it does come down. I know it is Guardians are the home team, but sometimes it does come down to MLB more so than the teams. So don't always, strictly go and be mad at the team. But Angel Martinez leaves the game. Jose Ramirez leaves the game. Thanks to Lauder leaves the game. And all find themselves right now, at least on the 10-day IL. We know that for Angel and for Jose Ramirez, it's going to be at least 4 weeks. But Jose, of course, 5 weeks. I'm expecting that to be about 6. I'm expecting the Angel injury to be about 6 weeks. As Angel with the foot, the fracture in the foot, the hamate bone surgery, the hamate bone being taken out now of the other hand for Jose Ramirez. He had the left.
Man.
Now he's got the right. What's crazy is, Andre Knott told me that he's heard from players about this hamate bone. It's like guys that like right there on the knob and it's like this in your hand. It's like this little hook that you really don't need, like this hook of bone that you don't really need. And guys are like, well, when I get one taken out, I just want them to take out both. Not even. I wouldn't want to go through that double surgery, that's for sure. But they basically take the bone out. It's 5 to 7 week recovery. So Jose does that, and then Chase DeLauder runs into the wall and has a crack in his rib. Retroactive to June 14th is his 10-day IL stint. I have not seen a timetable there. Who knows? All three could be along the same timetable. I mean, it is just like blow after blow after blow that happened with this team. Like I can't even look at how they played against the Brewers because even though they had a couple days off after that, like that sting, I knew that was going to bleed into this week.
Yeah, man, this is rough. I mean, this young ragtag team that we thought, could go somewhere is now losing their top 3 hitters, man. And for a significant time, it looks like it's just, I mean, I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I saw that we won today 4-2. That's nice. But hopefully they get a little confidence instilled in them that they can do this without Jose. But this is just not the time for this all. The schedule, we've had the schedule from hell this past month. I mean, June has already been one of the toughest months, on the Guardians calendar. And now they're walking into it without Ramirez, without DeLauder and Martinez, 2 more weeks in Milwaukee, 3 in Houston, 3 in Chicago. Seattle's going to come to Cleveland. Texas come to Cleveland. Then another set with Chicago, Minnesota, Miami. It's a gauntlet of, playoff caliber pitching, elite bullpens and teams that punish mistakes. And we have no margin for error. And that's a little terrifying. That's a little terrifying for me. So
it is terrifying. What I will say is there's to take a little solace in it. They had to tread water in the beginning of the season because April was no cupcake either. You face the Mariners and the Dodgers coming right out and stuff. So this team has been through it, and they've been through all that type of stuff before. I know everybody wants the guards to call up Cooper Engel, and they're upset that they called up Khalil Watson over Cooper Engel, and then Engel has 3 home runs for AAA. I'm going to remind people that the jump from AAA to the big leagues is much different than it is when they get moved from A to AA, then AA to AAA, all those types of things. I love what I see from Cooper Engel. He just started going back out to the outfield because they knew that if they were going to be able to utilize his bat this year, he needed to be in the outfield spot because you have 3 catchers on this team right now. So you're not going to bring him up as a catching prospect as of right now. And he had played outfield in his past, but he just started getting reps back out there. They're going to take their time with it. Whether you like it or not, they're going to do that. And yeah, he had 3 great home runs today for the Columbus Clippers. I love to see that. And I'm sure he's going to get his opportunity. It's just not yet. They went with somebody to replace that had played outfield and has mainly been an outfielder that has had the reps and stuff like that is more comfortable in those reps as of right now to fill in for Chase DeLauder. If in a couple weeks and Chase DeLauder is still out and Khalil Watson isn't, it looks like maybe his time that he's not ready for it, then they'll make the swap. I'm telling you that they will. So let's not. I don't know. I saw one post that almost got me really angry. But then I realized who it was. I will tell you the name off the air. I'm sure you've seen posts from this person as well. But then wake up, he's saying wake up, sleepy Chris and stuff like that. Posting about Cooper Engel, and they bringing up the wrong. Stop this. If there's anything that we've learned about this organization, do they spend money? No. Do they need a little work on developing the talent in terms of field players? Yes, but I think that they've shown that they've improved in that area, and they bring guys up at the right time. They bring guys up at the right time. They're willing to make the moves that they need to, and if someone isn't working, they will send them back down to get more reps down there before their next call-up. They're not afraid to do that. So don't call him Sleepy Chris. Chris Antonetti, the president of the baseball team. He knows what he's doing. He's at the wheel and not sleeping at the wheel. It's just it sucks for these people. I see them from time to time because I get to cover it and I feel fortunate and I pinch myself every day that I'm at Progressive Field and I go down and I talk to these guys after games and stuff that. I'm not touting myself. I feel I'm humbled by it and stuff like that. These are really good people, especially Jose, man. I know he's the heart and soul of this lineup, and we don't want to lose that bat. But I feel for the players first off. Angel's having a great year. He's showing the type of player that I've heard people tell me he was going to be. He's shown that this year and continuing to develop. This only hurts development of Chase DeLauder and Angel Martinez. Now, Chase, he's been through injury recoveries before, but it sucks every time.
Right.
I don't know how you feel, Rye. I know that everybody immediately would chase went to the card of, well, he's injury prone. He's injury prone. Dude's trying to make a play in the outfield. He runs into the wall. You know how many guys are probably going to be dinged up the way that he ran into that wall? And he still hit and got to hit the next time up. Like, he tried to stay in the game. House tried to stay in the game. Jose tried to stay in the game.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we got to take things for, like, what they actually are and not try to make more out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sit here and not think that he's a little bit made of glass. Of course, I mean, the injury is what it is. I would break my ribs too. That looked like it sucked. But the proof's in the pudding, man. I mean, we need him on the field. We don't need him on injured reserve. And the fact that he's not available. The best availability is available, or the best ability is available, if I could talk. And I love the dude. I think he's great. I think he's the future. I think him and Bazana are just what a godsend for exactly what we needed. But I'm nervous of how they're going to survive this stretch. Like I said, I think pitching is going to have to carry them. Williams, Bybee, Messick, they're going to have to shorten games. The bullpen is they're going to have to be airtight, man. And I don't know if I have that confidence right now.
The bad game from this series against the Brewers was yesterday.
Yeah,
that was the bad game. And people try to say, well, Gavin Williams probably felt that pressure that you're talking about right now, that they need, the pitching staff needs to take more steps forward and basically pitch perfect. And we've had those conversations where, like, when a pitcher is out there and, like, their offense isn't hitting, Tanner Bybee this year, not getting run support, like, I have to pitch perfect. Like, he's focusing on that rather than, like, pitching to get a guy out, and, like, in attacking the zone and all those types of things. So that pressure is real. But the last two starts for Gavin have not looked good. So he's hit a bit of a rough patch himself. So I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to make the full excuse that last night was for Gavin giving up 7 runs was only because he felt that pressure. Like, I'm sure that they feel a little bit of it, but also this team has been built on pitching for a long time. And when you come in this organization, that pressure is already there. So, to be really, really good no matter how your offense is going. So, like, I can't use that as a full excuse. Gavin's just hit a couple rough starts these last two. He's been hit pretty hard in these last 2 starts. So, like, 1 is just an anomaly. 2 starts to become a question mark. 3, they say 1 win is just a win, 2 wins, you whatever. 3 is a win streak, whatever. I don't know. 3 bad outings for Gavin Williams, then you really start to, it really becomes a trend that he's got to get rid of. So, but again, like today, you do salvage 1 from the series. You're going to need to win probably the Houston series and or the Chicago series to really, I think, feel good.
Right.
But Bazana, you mentioned him, hit a second decker to give them the 3-2 lead today, or at least hit off the front edge of the second deck at whatever Brewers Park is called.
Who cares?
Who cares? I should care because they are part of, like, our company's, like, market and everything. I have actually friends in they work in Milwaukee, but in terms of their team, I don't care.
Yeah, it's an oligarchy anyway.
But they are actually like a really good team. Like, I think they have the most wins in the major leagues right now. And that opening game, you lose 2-1. You were down 1-0, you tie it up, and you lose 2-1. Like, the Brewers are a really good offense. It was just really good pitching. Like, you tip your cap. Yesterday is the one that, I'm upset got away and makes you feel a little concerned.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I know this team, they're definitely not going to make any excuses for themselves. They know nobody's going to be feeling bad for them or crying for them or anything like that. They know they got to go do it. Are they able to? And that's the $1 million question.
Yeah, I just feel like, as long as they win the small ball battles, I think that's just go for the basics. This team already plays with the style that's built for adversity. With they're young, they just move runners, take walks, steal bases, manufacture runs. They don't have the firepower right now. They don't. So they have to win with precision. And that is on vote to figure out the lineup. That's on these guys who just know their assignment and execute. And I don't think it's naive to think that we could be seeing maybe one surprise breakout. I feel like we do every year, whether it be Watson they brought up, maybe Gabby Arias returning to David Fry, Schneeman, who is hitting some power bombs. Someone is going to give them a spark if they're going to have to. Someone is going to have to. Maybe that's Bizana. Maybe he continues to hit those double deckers like you said, but we need to look for one of these next guys to step up. So
a lot of that pressure is on Gabby Arias, that's for sure.
For sure.
Like, that's the guy that had all that been talked about, has all the talent and everything. Hadn't come to fruition. He got hurt at the worst time. He was actually started the season pretty well. I think he went like 4 for 8 or something like that in the series, though. So, or at least like 3 for 7. So definitely got a few hits. So, that's what you want to see them build on. They're going to Houston, who's starting to play better. They're going to Chicago. You're battling in the Central with, and they were without one of their best players, and they've kept things afloat. So they're feeling confident.
Right.
That's going to be a big time series to start next week. Let's see what happens by next week. I think we'll have a better feel for the true impact of all this.
Yeah.
But again, like it just feels like I haven't gotten over that gut punch feel. Like it's just like a punch in the gut that is just like everlasting. Just sucks. But let's see what they can do. We will touch on the World Cup, get a little World Cup update for everybody. James Harden did get arrested. How big of a deal is that for him and the Cavaliers? And speaking of the Cavs, tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary of coming back down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors, winning the NBA championship. Your biggest memory from that, the thing that stands out to you the most, because everybody does the whole, like, where were you and what are your memories? We'll do that coming up next. But, of course, a word from our newest sponsor and a name
Key On Sports is the leader in Ohio high school athletic coverage in written, print, and video streaming. From the latest news and results and written content to the high school football game of the week every Friday, Key On Sports has you covered. The vision of 15-time published author Vince McKee has become the most trusted site in Ohio high school athletic news. From podcasts to player profiles, Key On Sports is your one-stop for all of it. Visit them today at keyonsports.com or on YouTube at Key On Sports. Check out their socials on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Monster Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Inside Edge Network's very own Ryan Mosser and his wife, Hallie. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true two-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at monstermomentsphotography.com by using the QR code on your screen right now. monstermomentsphotography.com, a proud sponsor of the Inside Edge Network, Cleveland's digital leader.
Only a few minutes left in today's show as Monster Moments Photography. Got to thank them. Got to thank Key On Sports, the newest partner with Inside Edge Network, W Energy, Alley Rose Fragrances, Fanatics, of course, Green Sports Cards, greensportscards.com. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Double A. Thank you to Eli Moon. Everybody involved with everything going on with the Inside Edge Network.
Yeah, go check out their website, InsideEdgeNet.com as well. Check out all their socials. They do a great job. We're grateful to be a part of them. So
yeah, we got daily shows, we got weekly shows. We're covering everything. I think I've even seen talking out things outside of sports and all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and even focus on mental health, which is big and a huge thing. The stigma is still there about mental health. I still have people in my life that tell me it's not real. I see a therapist on a regular basis. Trying to work on my mental health, and if you need help, please reach out, and always keep an eye on your friends, your family. Just keep an eye and see if there's something you see where they might need some help, even if they're not willing. Someone that's willing to ask for it. Ryan, I teased a few things coming up, and let's start with like the least fun to talk about is someone being arrested. I know we're going to kind of split up the Cavs topics here, but he got arrested in Texas, had a firearm in a vehicle. I don't know if it wasn't, I don't know the exact details. It wasn't licensed or like it wasn't in a holder and stuff like that. Like, I'm kind of surprised that there is that kind of strict thing down there in Texas, having a gun. I don't make light of any sort of gun arrests or anything like that. I personally don't see this as big as initially, like when the news first broke and he got arrested, all that. Like, I don't see it as big, but antennas up on, James Harden, because we know where he likes to spend his time. We know, now that, he is a gun owner and those types of things, like not doing things properly can lead to more serious things.
Yeah. I mean, from a former police officer, I think that this arrest is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of in my life. Texas is a constitutional carry state. Adults who, can legally own a firearm are allowed to carry it openly or concealed without a permit. They're allowed to have a firearm in the vehicle. All of that is perfectly legal. So Harden was arrested for, not lacking a permit because he had one, not, illegally owning a firearm because he legally owned it, not for transporting it improperly, but he was arrested because the gun was sitting in a cup holder instead of being in a holster. That's it. And under Texas law, if a handgun is visible in a vehicle and it's not in a holster, which Harden's wasn't, technically that's a violation. To me, I think that's absolutely ridiculous technicality. I mean, he was legally allowed to have the gun, legally allowed to carry it, legally allowed to transport it, and because it wasn't holstered, suddenly it becomes a criminal offense. That's dumb. There's no other way to put it. This isn't some major felony. It's a Class A misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is up to a year in county jail and a fine of $4,000. But realistically, I don't think any reasonable judge is going to hammer him for this. His bond was literally $100. That tells you everything that, about how serious the court think this is. But there's one part of this that I think is absolutely crazy and kind of blows my mind. And I wouldn't let it stand. The bond conditions. Have you heard about the bond conditions at $100? Okay. They slapped these on them. I think they're incredibly extreme. They banned him from having any weapons, any ammunition, and even from using or possessing alcohol, controlled substance, unless prescribed. On top of that, he has to submit to random drug tests now. All because of $100 bond that he's, personally for a holster violation. So now he's temporarily, giving up some of his constitutional rights, not because he's a danger to anyone, not because he's, committed a violent act, but because his gun wasn't in a holster. That is crazy to me. And I would never, honestly, that punishment alone is worse than anything that I think the actual charge could bring. If it were me, there's no chance I would agree to those conditions. I would have sat in jail for a few nights and, I let the court strip away my rights. No way. Just so we're clear, yes, people have constitutional right to own and carry firearms for self-defense, but that right is still subject to state and federal regulations, and I get that. What I don't get is why, a technical holster violation, triggers conditions that look like they belong to someone charged with violent offense. This whole situation is an absolute non-issue, in my opinion. Nobody should be concerned about Harden because of this. I think this law is outdated, and the arrest was unnecessary, and the bond conditions are wildly disappropriate. Yeah, that's the word. And that's just based off of my personal experience as a police officer, former police officer. I think it's so dumb. So.
Yeah, $100 bond. That's like throwing down a penny in regards to how much money that's.
And he's giving up his Second Amendment, dude. What?
I don't.
Let alone subject to. He's not allowed to drink alcohol. What? He's a grown man.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Look, you only got to pay this, but
yeah. No way.
It's just.
I'd sit in jail for a few days, but that's where I just wanted to get that off my chest. So.
Yeah, everything around it is crazier than the story. Again,
the incident, right?
You don't want to get yourself in trouble and then cause yourself more serious consequences down the line, all those types of things. I'm never make light of an arrest. But just say this isn't.
I will.
This isn't. This isn't the character concerns that I have. There, how I feel about James Harden doesn't change. Is it the most favorable thing that I think about James Harden? No, but that this isn't an end all be all or some sort of issue. Feel strongly about it, that's totally okay. On to the World Cup real quick. How much have you watched, Ryan?
36 seconds with my kids. Sorry. Okay. I watched some highlights of the USA game, and I'm excited. Hopefully, I don't know if it's tomorrow or Friday. They play one game where it's late, right? Tomorrow at 3.
That's the last game. That's a week from today.
Okay, I guarantee you I can watch that game, but I'm not sure about tomorrow. But we'll see. I'll watch the highlights regardless. So
yeah, I'm off work tomorrow, and I got Lincoln around. I'm hoping. Look, this house is gonna have USA Australia on it, no matter what. The babysitter for Lincoln, had to tell him this week that he's not the boss. But he tried to be the boss of the babysitter's house.
That's funny.
Link, you are not the boss tomorrow. When it comes to USA, Australia, and my favorite sport in this house, is the U.S. try to get another win. Tomorrow they won 4-1 over Paraguay. It is the best I've ever seen them. The biggest concern is Christian Pulisic, as they call him, Captain America. Even though he's not the captain of the team this go-around, that is Tim Ream. No matter if he plays or not, with a calf injury. I know he had a calf injury, he suffered it going into working with the U.S. team, and then got that aggravated by someone like stepping on him, or like kind of stepping into the back of his calf with their studs. Whether he plays or not, this team is too deep. This team is too talented to not still take care of business. Australia's going to be tough. They are big, they are strong, they're physical. They are going to what they call park the bus. That means they're going to bring all 11 of their 10 field players and their goalie. They're all going to be behind the ball for the most part. They had possession against Turkey for 29% of the game. Only 29%. But they won 2-0 because they're very good on the counterattack. They have a lot of speed, all those types of things. They don't need, they're the one team that doesn't, I've heard it said this way, and I totally agree. They're one of the teams that don't need to have the ball to then score, to have it very long. The U.S. is going to have to be very patient in how they move the ball around. They may have to attack very early and keep that pressure up, because you do not want to get beat on the counterattack. The biggest weakness with this U.S. team, the biggest question mark, is their back line, their defensive efficiency, their defensive transition. You don't want to get into that. You have had an entire week off. All of that sprinting, all of that high press that you did in game 1, that should be done against Australia as well. You should continue to have possession and find ways to solve the block of yellow that you're going to see in front of you. I don't care what the media said about this. Australia's all upset. They're in their feelings right now. I think their captain was in front of the media today saying, "I've never wanted to win a game more than I do against the U.S." The U.S. men's national team has not said anything. They understand. They played and beat Australia in October 2-1. They understand how tough this team is. If they need extra motivation, Australia does, great. This U.S. team has a mission, and they need to get to at least the quarterfinals in this tournament. This
might be a dumb question, but is it one team per round robin that makes it to the next round? Obviously,
it is the top 2 in every group.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
And there's groups and they letter them as Group A through Group L, because of course there are more teams this time.
Sure.
But then, so the top 2 teams in every group automatically make it to the round of 32. The last 8 that you need are the top 8 third place teams among the 12 groups. There's 12 groups. So, of course, if you have the top 2 from each of the groups, then you got 24 teams. You need 8 more for 32. That's how you get those. So the U.S. should still get out of their group. But this is a team that probably should – the way that they played against Paraguay, that has to be the standard at this point. They may not score 4 goals, but the way that they played, the way that they got to that point, that has to be the standard. So that's what we need to see tomorrow. I love Messi getting the hat trick. There's been a lot of great games. I thought England-Croatia was probably one of the best matches of the entire tournament yesterday. They were back and forth in that first half. It was tied at 2, and then England just completely obliterated Croatia in that second half. Right now, Canada, it looks like they might be getting their first win. They're already up 3-0 at halftime. So Mexico, I think, plays later tonight against South Korea. So that'll be a good one as well. As one of the 3 host countries. I'm having a blast, man. I love seeing Jameis Winston having a blast with all the fans, the walk-ins, Scotland fans taking over baseball games, let alone like they took over the Fenway. And all the international fans that have come here and they're trying Chick-fil-A,
dude,
Raising Cane's.
I saw one guy from China, right? Just the most beautiful poem about the experience he had about trying biscuits and gravy. It was so hilarious, dude. I showed my dude. It was like just so intentional and so beautifully done about how he like really underestimated and thought this slop was gonna be, and it was just the most delectable thing he's ever put in his mouth, you know. And he apologized to everyone there because it was just so funny, dude.
And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it's been so much fun. Like, this is what I live for, but this is what I do year round. Like, I just, I should talk about it more. I should be posting more throughout the year because I don't know. Some people I don't know that they know that I'm kind of an expert on the sport, but whatever. Don't care.
He's the voice of the Cleveland Crunch, fellas. He knows his stuff.
I don't need to be called an expert. I really don't want to. Just do what you got to do. Sorry, Double A, we are a little over. Real quick, Ryan, your biggest takeaway from the 2016 NBA championship, your biggest memory.
I mean, I was downtown during the game. I was at the casino just watching a TV because I couldn't get in any bar, and me and my wife were there, and I ended up losing my wallet, and someone found it, and we met up and gave me my wallet. But going down after the Cavs won, down in the streets, just it was Cleveland sports heaven. There's nothing else. It is euphoric, man. I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. It was just, I'm gonna cry. It was so great, dude. It was such an incredible feeling. It's crazy that feeling is relatively fleeting. 10 years ago, that's insane.
Yeah, I want that feeling back sooner rather than later. And we know how that can go here in Cleveland. But we have 2 really good organizations. We have one that needs to get their together to do that.
Sure.
My biggest regret is not being downtown. But I'm very superstitious, so I had to watch Game 7 the way that I watched Game 5 and Game 6. So I had to do the same thing for Game 7. Whether it worked or not, I don't care. I'm who I am. I'm going to be who I am. But my best memory, and this is the only reason I want to just focus on one, because it was Father's Day, and immediately after the game, I may or may not have kissed the trophy through the TV. I saw that, but I had to wait and see the trophy because I knew everybody was going to head out to all the sporting goods stores that had all the gear and everything, and like get shirts. Like if you're in line late at night, I had my sister go and get a spot in line at Dick's Sporting Goods. Even though I was working there, they told me I could have called them. Like, just come right in.
Yep.
But I had her go get a spot in line because I was going to do it the right way. But I was like, I need to see the trophy handed to LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, I need to see all of that. Yeah. So as soon as that was done, I jet out to Dick's Sporting Goods, that I was working out here in Lake County. And as we're in line and going, like, my dad came out, and he was the one that taught me the game of basketball. And I'm going to make this quick because I don't want to cry in this either. There was no word spoken as soon as we saw each other. There was no words. There was just a look, and there was a hug that lasted it was probably much shorter than I remember it being, but it felt like the best
still hugging, bro.
And I ever shared, because the team that he taught me to love and the sport that he taught me to love, we had the Larry O'Brien trophy from that sport. Like, we had the championship trophy from that sport, and we just embraced it. It was the best. And I know a lot of other fathers and sons and fathers and kids shared very similar things and are being very special on Father's Day. And with that, I wish everyone, fathers, grandfathers, father figures, guardians, uncles, whoever you see as a father figure in your life, a very happy Father's Day. And Ryan, a very special happy Father's Day to you. Now a father of 3. This time around.
Crazy father of 3. Yeah, you as well, buddy. I hope you have the best day with Link and whoever loved ones you decide to spend with time with. And it's just happy Father's Day, guys. It's another day. I think it's the 28th ranked holiday, and Mother's Day is the 2nd. So we see the craziness, but at least we get celebrated for one day. I'm pretty grateful for it. Mothers deserve everything. So give me a special breakfast and some kisses at night, and I'm chill. So
yeah,
not you, my wife.
No, hey,
maybe we'll be a Father's Day of 4 next year.
Happy Father's Day to all being celebrated this coming weekend. You guys have your show coming up next?
Yep. Right after this, we're going to go live. The Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. We're going to do a 12-team standard mock draft. This is just a normal mock draft that you'd have at your home leagues or anything. So tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go through some picks, and it'll be right after this. So I'll be live on my Twitter and all the other socials.
And hopefully, I say sorry to you and to your partner and all that stuff. Good. Sorry for being late.
He's good.
Yet again. I will be more on time next week, AA. I promise you. Too much happening. Too much happening. Thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to the Inside Edge Network. Thank you to you, Ryan Moster. Thank you to Peter Tulip. I'm Kevin O, reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000. Don't talk about it, be about it. Love the World Cup. Go USA!
Don't use a second-round pick on Sorsby, Andrew Berry.
Don't bring him here. Live life, all gas, no breaks. USA! 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 See you next time, right here.
USA!